But hey, there we go.
Oh, well, we almost did it.
Yay.
Hello. Hello and welcome to No CB, a Grand Strategy podcast. This is for the week of the 3rd of November, 2021. I am Len. I am your host. I am joined by our good friends, including Lambert.
Hello.
Including
Hello.
Rose.
Heyo.
And our special guest for this week, Feedbackgaming.
Hello. How's it going?
Yeah. And since it's your first time on the show, before we get to news and stuff, we're going to be talking quite a bit about Hearts of Iron, since we brought you on as sort of a Hearts of Iron expert. Who are you, and what the hell are you doing here? No, how did you get into Paradox Games?
How did I get here? How did I get here?
Did the black hole drop you here or something?
Probably, yeah. Loris is currently in the black hole, so someone had to come out to take his place. Yeah,
I've got a tendency of talking way too much and ranting forever and ever, so I'm going to try and keep this really short. And if I go on for too long, just like, shut the hell up, dude. You've spoken too much, okay?
Yeah, we have a button we can press that will just eject you into
just
space.
Disappear, yeah.
If you talk too long. So yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's funny because me as a YouTuber and Hearts of Iron 4 are one in the same, because prior to Hearts of Iron 4, I was no one. And June, was it 2016 when Hoi 4 came out?
Yep,
that is technically when I started uploading my unended Let's Plays. And that was the beginning of Feedbackgaming. And I do nothing but Hoi 4 mostly. Well, 90%.
You played a pretty good roam in Imperator.
A little bit Imperator. Do you know, I gave Imperator a really good run, okay? I want to let you know that, Lambert, okay? I gave it a really, really good run, all right?
So you probably like my preferred game more than I like yours.
You taught everybody not to stack elephants on a capital for a siege.
Yeah, learn through my errors. No, but yeah, Hoi 4 is kind of my bread and butter. There's a part of me, small part of my heart, that would like to move on to other things. But Crusader Kings 3 is something that does well on my channel. And yeah, I wouldn't mind playing some more other strategies, maybe real-time strategies, maybe in the age of empires. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, which we will be talking about, because I think all 4 of us have been playing it at this point. So yeah. It's not really grand strategy, but it is historical strategy. So I think it kind of counts.
And I don't know about y'all, but Age of Empires, the original one, was like the first strategy game I ever played. So it's led to, Crusader Kings and all that stuff.
It wasn't the first, but I think it was the first like historical strategy game I played, I want to say.
A demo for Age of Empires 2 was the first game I ever played on PC. Before that, I was on things like the Sega and the Nintendo. It was like we got a PC. There was a demo disc that my mum got in some gardening magazine or some shit, and had like 20 different programs on it. And one of them was Age of Empires 2 demo. And it was one skirmish map. It was an identical map every single time you played it. And I played it a lot. And then I got the game. Yeah. And yeah.
Here we are.
Because I think I played Age of Empires 1 before I played Civilization. So I'm pretty sure it was my first historical strategy game.
I was 9 years old. Age of Empires was definitely before Civ.
Yeah, because the first Civ I really played was Civ 3, and that didn't even come out till like the 2000s, I want to say.
I played Civ 1 and 2. I played the one was square. There wasn't hexes, it was like squares.
Yeah, it was that way up till Civ 4.
Oh, really? I didn't play.
Until Civ 5.
I didn't play 3 or 4.
Civ 4 was squares as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Civ 4 was squares.
Oh, yeah. We're saying the same thing. Basically.
You know what though? There's a game that's like Civ that's on my dad. He has his original Macintosh, which still runs. Like the hard drive is separate.
Oh wow!
You had to plug. He bought separately and had to plug in, and it's got a Civ-like game on it. I don't know what it's called.
This was going to be like a bad segue. I was like, oh, is this a segue coming? It's
no,
like, it wasn't. It actually wasn't.
All right. Well, the challenge is now we have to turn it into a segue.
I mean, we're talking about really old games. Let's talk about a new game.
That works. Nailed it. Which one?
Yeah, that works. Yeah, what game?
Yeah, literally, you got to tell me which one we're going with.
No, it's Victoria 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, we can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so we got to take a look at diplomatic plays this week. Lambert, what is going on with diplomatic plays in Victoria 3?
Well, it's kind of the way that crises were in Victoria 2. In the in Victoria 2, you had a crisis that would pop up. Maybe the Greeks want to get some more of their land from the Ottomans, and then there'd be a crisis, and then the great powers would back either side, and that system has been taken and expanded and built upon to be literally the way you do everything with regards to everything. Really, it's very overarching. So what would happen is, say you, as let's say Prussia, want Alsace-Lorraine, you will start a diplomatic play against France, where you would say, I want Alsace-Lorraine. And then everybody who has an interest in that strategic region, so obviously France and Prussia, but also any states in that area, and also anyone that has stated that they have an interest in that area, will then be basically deciding whether they want to back France, whether they want to back Prussia, or whether they want to stay neutral. And then over the course of a while, there isn't any specified amount of time yet, you'll be able to offer neutral parties things to get them on your side. But if you get them on the side, that might not be everything, because the other side can pull them away from your side if they beat your offer. And then if one party backs down, then they will lose whatever the opposing side's main demand is. And if you do that, there's a truce and there's peace. But if you don't, then there's a countdown to war, and then you war. Basically, it's a really interesting system, and I'm a big fan of it. I think this diplomatic play system is really cool.
Yeah, I think one thing a lot of people are noticing is that there's no declare war button in Victoria 3. I really like it too. I liked the crisis system in Victoria 2. I felt like it created too many great wars in the late game, and then they added world wars as an escalation of great wars, but it's there should really only be one of these. So the fact that they've kind of scaled it back to be able to handle all this extra stuff. There's some war demands that aren't on the list that I'd kind of like to see, or some diplomatic plays that aren't on the list yet that I'd kind of like to see.
Yeah, but I'm sure they'll add more as time goes on. They'd already mentioned that one of the things they want to add is when you are trying to sway a neutral party to your side, things like, I will become your protectorate if you help me in this war, would be something that could be added there.
Well, and I feel like if it would be weird to not launch with some sort of an enforced law. There's banned slavery, but also if you're a monarchy and you're neighboring a country that just had a communist revolution, you probably want to be able to go in there and reinstall a more traditional form of government. It seems weird to me that you wouldn't be able to do that, because that's generally what happens. It's I'm not going to go conquer Russia. I'm just going to try to reinstall the Romanovs or whatever. If I'm playing as a filthy monarchist, of course.
There's a couple of things like that. I mean, even having, when I play Victoria 2, quite frequently, I see the Russian Empire fall to communism and become the USSR, or rise to communism, depending on your point of view, I guess. But something like the USSR spreading communism through war could totally be a thing.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah, that's the other side of the coin, is I would like to be able to invade other countries and liberate the workers and force them to also be
Could just be called something like spread ideology.
Yeah. So that's the big one I would like to see for launch. I'm sure they will add more as time goes on.
Have you been keeping up much with Victoria 3's development then, Feedback?
No. I personally find those dev diaries, when the game isn't actually released, incredibly difficult to visualize how it actually will work. Like I followed the Rome, not the Rome ones, the CK3 dev diaries,
Mhm.
and when I played the game, it was nothing how I imagined. Absolutely not. I just couldn't visualize it from looking at the dev diaries, and I guess that's why I'm a little bit apprehensive of reading the Victoria ones. I love the pretty screenshots. The graphics look fantastic, but there's a part of me that just maybe my lack of creativity, maybe it's me that's the problem, but I can't really put it all together in my mind.
That's the problem I have with the Vicky 3 because I've only played 9 hours of Vicky 2. But Vicky, I mean CK3, the dev diaries I guess made sense to me, but then with 2,000 hours in CK2,
Yeah.
So,
Well, like,
do you think it might be different feedback if it was like Hearts of Iron 5 coming out?
Maybe. I guess I feel like I just gel better with the existing expansions because when you could see like where you've been, it kind of makes more sense as you go. I'm trying to think if there's an example of a game where I played one of the prequels where I understood it better, and there hasn't been yet. So Rome Imperator, and then we've got CK3. I never really played CK2, so you're right. Yeah, maybe be the fact that I just didn't play the prequels. Yeah.
I like that you're calling them the prequels.
yeah.
The predecessors, I think it's probably a better term.
The daddies and the granddaddies.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which
CK2
title?
was the prequel. I guess because it had the 769 bookmark. CK2 is kind of the prequel to CK3, in a way.
Only if you have the Charlemagne expansion.
Right.
How many Charlemagnes is that now?
That's a different Charlemagne.
Look, it's all the same.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
measured development costs in Charlemagnes now.
What's the exchange rate from like a Total War Charlemagne to a Crusader Kings Charlemagne?
Oh, that's a good question.
I actually think
If only
CK1 might be more expensive.
If only we weren't already talking about Vicky, that would be a great segue into Vicky. There's like exchange rates and economies and all that kind of jazz.
So currently, at least in the US, Crusader Kings 2 Charlemagne, when it's not on sale, is $15. And the Total War Attila Charlemagne, I think it's like 10. Let me see. Oh no, it's $17. So actually, Total War Charlemagne is more expensive than CK2 Charlemagne when neither of them are on sale.
And which one goes on sale more often?
Oh, almost certainly CK Charlemagne.
Yeah,
almost certainly.
Paradox does a lot of sales for their DLC.
Aren't they? Or did that Halloween sale end?
I don't know.
I don't know, actually. It's probably over by now.
Speaking of CK2, didn't they just launch a subscription service for CK2 so you can get all the expansions on like a monthly payment?
Yeah, they have that for EU4 as well. I mean, if you've got none of them and you want to try out the game, it's a great deal.
Yeah.
Because the price of entry of those games to buy is a bit insane.
Right. Yeah, so it's $5 for 13 major expansions, 12 unit packs, 14 music packs, 10 portrait packs, the game converter, and the ruler designer. So basically everything for $5 a month.
Mad.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's probably a good deal if you're just getting into the game and you don't know how much you're going to play it.
Yeah.
So considering the Crusader Kings 2 Imperial Collection bundle, which is 17% off, is $263.29.
Yeah, it's funny. I know like multiple people who have gone back to play Crusader Kings 2 recently, just because it's been such a long drought with no new content for CK3. That like I know a few people who have been going back to play some CK2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And speaking of CK3,
the Dead Diary.
Speaking of things from CK2 expansions that I missed when CK3 came out, and I'm glad that they're now adding to CK3. Rose, what's up with this week's Dev Diary?
So we get a look at the inventory system. They start out by telling us that for items, we have court items and inventory items. And we've already talked about the court ones, I think, right?
I think at some point
So,
we did, yeah.
yeah, I think it was mixed in a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah.
But the inventory ones are equipable items. You've got crown, regalia, weapon, armor, and then lastly trinkets, which I love this. Trinkets can be a myriad of things. Brooches, dried flowers, even a worm on a string.
Which wouldn't even be the weirdest item that has ever appeared in
No.
Crusader Kings.
The
Yeah.
foreskin of Jesus.
Yeah, well, that's what
Yeah.
I was thinking.
Yes,
of.
that's what I was thinking too. The prepuce.
Prepuce? I don't actually know how to pronounce it. Yeah. Yeah, you could literally own Jesus. Well, supposedly Jesus's foreskin in CK2, which I believe actually was a historical artifact that
Mhm.
at least people believed it was real at the time.
Well, it might have been real. It just probably wasn't his.
Yeah,
Could be anyone's skin.
it could just be any piece of skin. It could be it could be from a cow's
Oh.
ankle.
This
For
is-
all we know.
this
We
is-
have Agamede in chat saying there's a story that some ruler wore it as a ring. She was
Yeah.
engaged to Jesus.
Yeah, all those saints that somehow had 15 fingers if you added up the number of finger bones that supposedly belong to them. Yeah.
Very much not a fan of any of this conversation.
But back to the dev diary.
Yeah.
They let us sort the items. So, if you've been playing since the beginning, 867, you've got 60 items in your inventory because you just like to steal and build and got to catch them all.
Yeah.
You can sort them by the different kinds, which is nice to see that, they're being released.
Can I just point out the trinket icon looks like a kidney? Just want to put that out there.
I guess.
It kind of, it's kind of shaped that way. I could see what you're going for.
Yeah, I just see like a necklace pendant.
To me, it kind of looks like a tadpole holding an orb, like he's bringing you.
or a ghost with a gong.
Yeah.
They go into more detail here in telling us like the artifacts. When you're wearing them, they start to not disintegrate. They start to
Degrade.
Degrade, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there is a button there that says reforge or repair, but you can only do that if you have an antiquarian in your court.
What's an antiquarian, Rose?
Apparently, an antiquarian is a vital figure in maintaining and making full use of your artifacts. They also allow you to commission more artifacts.
And I like this inspiration system just because, I know some people are kind of annoyed by it, but I like the fact that you're not going to be able to just create really good artifacts whenever you want to. It's going to be a big deal when you have an inspired person in your court who can actually make you a really good sword. You just can't just order a masterwork sword whenever you feel like it.
I mean, you say that, but some of the weapons that we saw in one of the previous dev diaries were literally just average sword.
Well, yeah, you can get one of those anytime you want, but that's just an average sword.
Kaiser Heinrich's dagger here. Is there anything special about this other than the fact that it's Kaiser Heinrich's?
Probably not. No.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
King Harold's battle axe.
It
was King Harold. Maybe he did great deeds, and so it's worth a lot to your family because he was a prominent ancestor.
I mean,
that would be interesting.
King Harold should have won. I'm gonna put it out there. William's a bastard. Spain's a bastard.
Okay, I've got a hot question. Okay, so far with CK3, as well as the expansions, what we're seeing come up right now, we haven't seen any kind of mythical things, any magic or anything like that. Something that was quite big in CK2. So, are we going to see Excalibur? Are we going to see Thor's hammer?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because they've said they want to kind of move away from the supernatural stuff with CK3.
Because it was very dividing among the fan base.
I would say
CK2.
I would say that we probably won't see it in the base game, but there will be mods within the first week that add that stuff.
I want to see it in the base game, but just have it as
I wanna see it
options.
too. I think that's the biggest thing that's
Yeah.
making me feel empty with CK3. I feel like there needs to be that progression where it has a peak where you get a big reward at the end, where you had those epic quests in CK2, and they felt so rewarding when you finally got the final goal and got some either legendary item or some awesome perk that passed down from your ancestors. That was so cool.
Or
I feel like
regrow your
CK3
decapitated penis. Yeah.
We have Voodoo Lilium in chat
Used to be-
saying that I think they mentioned you can find Mjolnir in game, but it's not magical.
I can
Right.
hear Leanna wincing at your pronunciation there. I
I'm
can
sorry.
hear it.
You're correct, but I wasn't going to say
Myelomia, something like that.
I took German, and then all my German got forgotten because of Korean. So
The only
Fair
reason
enough,
German
fair
anyway.
enough. Yeah. Well, German also has the J that sounds like a yeah sound, so.
I just thought it's just funny.
Actually, Mjolnir would be pronounced basically the same, I
Um,
think, in German as it is in the Nordic.
we
one.
have Oxykun stating, which she is a dev, if anyone, or works for PDX. Magical items will not be a thing, but it's more people believe it's magical, much like how the mystical is approached in general in CK3.
I like
Think the
that.
troll event from Northern Lords.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, anything that's like a belief at the time that people had, I think that's
If you
cool.
have Thor's hammer, you get prestige from it or piety because everyone thinks that you're blessed by the gods. But something like that.
Or if you own Thor's hammer, then people are gonna hate you because they'll be like, Thor needs that to protect fucking Midgard from the ice giants,
Give it back.
and you've got
Yeah.
it. You give it back, you bastard.
We're all gonna die. You think you know what you're doing with that? Yeah. Yeah. So, I like this inventory thing a lot. I noticed there's like categories for like tapestry and furniture, which makes me wonder like how Sims are they going to go with CK3?
Well, you know what's
Yeah.
interesting about commissioning an artifact down below? It tells you how many you currently own, which I think is very nice. So if you get to the screen and go, oh god, did I build a sword or armor last time?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I only
I'm
own
just
2
wondering
pieces
if
of
they're-
furniture.
I'm just wondering if they're going to be releasing like the Crusader Kings Autumn Court stuff pack that's like new furniture and tapestries. Like yeah.
4 skins of Jesus owned 3.
Fucking
No, there was a lot to go around. It was like the bread and the fishes. He could do the same. All right, let's not get into that.
He just kept regrowing it, so they just kept chopping off. It was there was a whole industry here.
I have to take the chart that says days since the No CB podcast was excommunicated and flip it back to 0.
Can they re-excommunicate us? Or is that a one-time deal now?
I paid some bribes.
Oh, well, don't pay them on my behalf. I'm happy.
Okay, all right. Well,
So apparently, Paradox realized we were talking about CK2 in the subscription service. I just had an email pop up, encouraging me to subscribe to the CK2 expansion subscription.
they have their spy master in our court at all times.
I'm literally checking my email as well, see if I've got it.
It's from 23 minutes ago, 2:05. Right when we went live.
Wow.
Yeah. CK3, it's more of an RPG than CK2 was. Not having an inventory was kind of weird if they're trying to make it more of an RPG. So that's cool that we're finally getting that. It was probably one of my top requests of CK2 features I wanted to see in CK3. Yeah, cool stuff. We do have a couple art dev diaries that we're going to save for next week, the EU4 one and the Stellaris one, just because we want Loris here. He's our professional artist, and we want him to be able to discuss those with us. So we'll be saving those for when he's back and moving into our main topic, which is going to be Hearts of Iron 4, and particularly the No Step Back expansion, how it seems to be shaping up. I think November 23rd is the release date.
Yep,
I looked it up before the show, yeah.
So that's correct.
Hearts of Iron 4 is like, it's the game that between the four of us 4 regulars, I think we play the least collectively.
Wow.
Loris plays the most.
I mean, I play a fair bit of it, but I play like 90% modded. Like I rarely ever play vanilla Hearts of Iron 4 anymore.
Mm.
So I wanted to hear from somebody whose Hearts of Iron is your bread and butter. How are you feeling about No Step Back so far, and maybe what are you most interested in or excited about?
I'm excited, but I'm also really scared. Anytime they modify the game,
Yeah,
I feel like it's a brand new experience for me, and having to learn it and min-max again is my bread and butter, so I love that. The bit that
right.
scares me is that supply system. That is a big jump. We have a very
Oh yeah.
dumbed down, simplistic supply system right now, and now they're gonna be adding railroads that you can connect, supply dumps that you can upgrade. There's gonna be so much depth there. I think the community is gonna be a little bit salty because it's gonna take them a very, very long time to adjust to this big change.
Yeah, I was calling it. It seems like Hearts of Iron 4's version of like the Apocalypse update for Stellaris or the Art of War update for EU4, which
Oh, wow.
that's a long time back. Some of
Yeah,
you
yeah, no, I get that.
children might not even know that update. Um,
Like adding Conclave to CK2.
like it's such a fundamental overhaul of like the very basics of the combat, which as a war game, Hearts of Iron,
Yeah.
like the combat is kind of everything. I mean, industry maybe is also like equally important, but um, yeah, and like they're overhauling, how tactics work and commanders and all this stuff. It just feels like a fundamental rework, like the most fundamental rework of the systems Hearts of Iron 4 has maybe ever gotten. Um, and I think potentially it's going to be very cool. I think potentially it's going to allow the scenario to model things, like why Operation Barbarossa was a huge failure, which really weren't modeled in the previous version, or they had to like include some sort of weird putting their finger on the scale to make it play out more historically.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I think we've definitely seen that. If it's not the combination of all the negative national spirits the Soviet Union get that they slowly have to work away,
mhm,
but it's also the combination of as you push forward now, you kind of have to connect the railroads. So on top of that off as well, encircling is going to be a little bit more difficult because you're going to have to follow the railroads to actually get around the back of the enemy forces. Now you can choose to not do that if you want by using cavalry to supply or trucks to supply,
mhm.
but that doesn't supply nowhere near as efficiently. In tank divisions, which usually a lot of supply anyway, it's going to be really tough to make those big encirclements in Russia that people are more used to.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying though with like being apprehensive, because it's like I until I get my hands on the system, like I don't have any idea if it's
Yeah.
going to work or if it's going to feel fun and rewarding, or if it's just going to feel like more overhead. Like Hearts of Iron 4 already has so much overhead compared to Paradox's other games in terms of just like the number of things you need to keep track of. Uh, Especially if you're playing as a naval power. So yeah.
We have a couple comments in chat. We have Tiber
Mhm.
Wolf saying, I'm anticipating No Step Back to have a slightly rocky release, but one significantly better than more recent PDX releases.
Is that
I mean,
even difficult though?
I was gonna say it'd be really hard to do worse than Leviathan. Like that would be impressive if it was worse than Leviathan at
It's
launch.
still lower than 10% positive rated on Steam. Still,
Well,
like,
I think it's mostly fixed at this point. I think, but yeah, that was a terrifying launch.
I still haven't played
Uh,
vanilla since like the Leviathan came out.
We
Southeast
also
Asia is
have
really good. Southeast Asia is really good. I do
Yeah, but
recommend
Anbanar's
everybody give it
better,
a
so I
try.
mean,
Anbanar is great as well. So yeah,
the EU4
valid
LAN
choice.
party should just be Embanar.
oh, imagine that'd be a great.
We talked. I'm one of like the support organizers, I guess, now for Crusader Coliseum, and we've talked about doing an Anbanar event at some point. It's just Mitch is like really busy all the time,
Yeah.
so it's hard to like
Yep.
figure out when to actually do it.
As soon as my Imperator community multiplayer finishes,
Uh-huh.
the next one I'm doing is going to be Anbanar. Every
Nice,
Thursday.
nice.
But back
Hell
to
yeah.
Hoi 4, we also
Oh,
have
yeah.
Voodoo Lilium in chat saying, like when General Patton had to halt his advance because he went too fast for the supply lines to keep up and ran out of gas.
Right. Yeah, like I want to deal with those kind of challenges. I want to have to deal with those kind of challenges or plan around them. Yeah, it's hard to tell how it's all going to fit together. Feedback, do you have like a particular country you think you're going to play first when this update hits?
This is going to be a bit boring, but I think I'm probably just going to play something like Germany, some nation that I'm already familiar with, just to get
Yeah.
adapted to the new mechanics, particularly supply, and also I keep calling it the hat update. What's it called? It's the hat icon at the top of the screen. Is it command? Command?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
The
Regardless,
name.
the hat update.
Yeah.
And I think universally from what I've read about the chief of staff or hat update, whatever, it is that I think people are universally going to like it. Instead of researching doctrines, if you get 100 XP now or whatever modifiers adjust that, you'll be able to get a doctrine unlocked immediately, straight away. And as far as I'm aware, it's going to just make the system just easier, and it frees up research as well, which people are always complaining about as well.
Well, feedback. You have Dogberry in chat saying it may be a boring answer, but you playing a familiar country is the most logical decision.
Yeah.
It's what I did with Imperator. Every time a new update came out, I played Macedon again.
I think those are like two types of players, right? It's like there's the type of player that wants to play whatever the new shiny country is, and there's the type of player that wants to play their like old standby just to see what's changed and compare it to past experiences.
No,
I
that
think
makes
that's
sense.
why I played in like Ireland or Wales so much in CK2.
Yeah.
Whenever they
Yeah.
come out with a new expansion.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think both make sense.
There's the two other smaller changes that are changing as well. Like combat width has been completely, I would say,
Yeah.
nerfed.
Oh.
So everyone's got in their comfort zone now, 2040 combat width for practically everything. And now every single direct terrain type will have different maximum combat widths and increases based on direction as well. So the joy of this is that you can now make divisions that work specifically better in certain terrain types, like a mountain-based division, or I don't know, say a desert-based division, which is great. I think the idea of that is really creative. The downside is people who have just got so adjusted to their comfort zone of that meta shakes it up, really shakes it up. And it's
Yeah.
just a small change too.
I'm just terrified. Like I feel like I'm like back to square one with division design. Like, what does a good division
Yeah.
look like? I don't know. It's anyone's guess at this point.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Design feedback. What do you think of the new tank designer?
What do I think of the tank designer? So I read the dev diary top to bottom on it, and it excites me. But if I could create a top 10 list of features I want to see in Hoi 4, it wasn't the one that was near the top for me. It gave me too many vibes of the ship overhaul with the modules and whatnot. So once again, there's a part of me that's slightly apprehensive. Like I like the fact I've got the flexibility to change things. I can make a speedy light tank. I can make an unbelievably slow heavy tank. I like that flexibility is amazing. But once again, is it something people? This is a prediction. Now, I'll admit they might be completely wrong, but let's just say in 3 to 6 months from now, when it's been out for a while, is the meta just going to be a light tank that's really fast, a heavy tank that's really heavy, or et cetera, et cetera? Do you know what I mean? Like people will default to this set design, and that flexibility in the center won't exist. A bit like how division templates are all 20 and 40 width. You know, like everyone just eventually finds that comfort zone that they feel most optimal with, and they'll just set into that. That's one of my fears as well.
Apparently, the tank designer live stream was today.
Wow.
Honestly, I think more than like how this is going to change the meta, I'm just excited that I can make really stupid tanks now. Like if I want to, I can just make the dumbest tank you've ever seen. That's just like a rolling fortress that it's unkillable, but I put everything into armor, so it's super slow and it doesn't have very good firepower. But I'm just gonna roll across Europe with basically just a wall of steel that like,
nothing can take down.
Yeah, or just put it along a defensive line.
From a YouTuber's perspective,
nobody can stop it. Yeah,
it's actually really good because I think one of the Maybe lesser plays to. I don't even know what you guys do. I know Lambert, you're doing edited let's plays, don't you? Um,
Less edited. I hate editing. Awful.
yeah,
Edited.
unedited. Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah, and with those kind of videos, do you feel like you can set with a goal and objective, something you can work toward, but you can be quite broad and open at where you're going with it? Where,
Yeah.
for instance, with my videos, there's like a set theme, a set objective, and I try and get it within that edited video. But the creativity to be able to create a super, super heavy tank or a speedy little super fast slight tank. I don't know. It makes a really interesting video idea. So it kind of excites me from that perspective. Not necessarily is it effective or is it meta or will it work? It's more of, oh, it's going to be fun to try it out and make a cool video out of that. And I know the viewers will love that.
Conquering Germany as slow as possible with like 1 kilometer an hour tanks made in Siberia.
Although I'm gonna need Tokrova and Heracles 8 in the chat to stop slandering the Bob Simple. The Bob Simple is a fantastic tank. It's resourceful, okay? They went and found some scrap metal in a sheepfold and made a tank out of it. They should be commended for their innovative spirit. They don't have. It's New Zealand. They don't have anything. There's no heavy industry there. They got some chicken wire and like some paneling from the hardware store, and they did their best. All right, like don't knock it. Don't knock it.
Speaking of like, things pulled together with string and wire, but still rather massive or whatever. What do you think of the new USSR tree? Focus tree.
The national focus of the Soviet Union. It's one of those ones too that I can't visualize it well enough. I like the fact that the historical path where you remain as the Soviet Union has 3 different options. So you can align with either Trotsky or Stalin, or there's like a third path for some guy I've never heard of his name before. So I like that the historical path has flavor in it, where before I felt like, I don't know, I felt like some of the other previous national focuses have kind of tried to divide it equally between each ideology. Yeah, you know what I mean? I feel like when it focuses more on the history, it feels like it brings that era more to life, because it's stuff about the country I don't really know about. So that's one of the reasons why I love national focuses.
Yeah, it still seems weird to me that they have a fascist path for Russia, but not a democratic path. Like most of the other like major players, you can't completely switch to the other side of the spectrum, right? Like Germany doesn't have a communist path, even though they did have a communist movement historically. It wasn't much left of it by 1936 because the Nazis kind of saw to that. But I still, it's still weird to me that they didn't include a democratic path for Russia. But I guess they want to, Hoi 4 players like to do like weird nationalist nonsense, I guess. So
it's not quite democratic, but there's an option. I saw one of the national focuses was something like reintroduce democracy inside of the Communist Party.
Yeah, there's like a more democratic communist path, and I mean, like in theory, big quote marks, the Soviet Union was democratic to some degree, at least. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how those different paths play out.
As Commander Faceless was saying, communism can be democratic.
It can, yes. It
just has never historically been democratic.
In theory, it should be. That is a pillar of the ideology of communism. But there's a difference between parties that call themselves communist and actually realizing communism, which I don't think anybody has ever really done on a large scale.
But that's a topic for another day.
Yes, it is. Probably when Victoria 3 comes around, we'll be talking more about how it models all the different production methods and stuff like that.
So, feedback. What feature are you most hesitant about with No Step Back?
Most hesitant. So I think it's pretty much what I've already been over. I think the supply change is a biggie, and then the combat width change is a biggie, because those completely change how you play the game. And getting used to those mechanics is probably going to take weeks, maybe even months, And I feel like when I'm making videos, I make the best videos when I feel like I know what I'm talking about. And I know for 2 months, I'm going to be talking a lot of rubbish.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just going to bite my lip every single time. Like, I think it works like this. I think.
Yep, yeah. Yeah, it's always funny. Like, it was really funny, but I made some Hearts of Iron 4 tutorial videos back in 2016 when it came out. They're actually still the most views I've ever gotten on a video on YouTube in
Good
history.
content.
Yeah, and like all of it is garbage now. Like, especially even the Division design video, which held up for a long time, is completely out the window now. And I remember when I was researching those videos and I was looking on the wiki to figure out how air combat worked, and this was before they did an air combat rework.
Yeah.
And it's like what it literally said on the wiki was something along the lines of, nobody is quite sure how this actually works, but we think it might be like this. It's like, when even the wiki people don't actually understand how it works. That's
remember how
tough.
like submarines.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone really thought the new like subsystem was
Mm.
viable until Mordred demonstrated it at PDX.
Yeah. We'll have to have
I made
Mordred back on here to
in
talk
the early
about.
days when I started to move away from unedited Let's Plays, I moved towards guide videos, and they performed exceptionally well, like you were just saying.
Mhm.
And do you know what? It scares me. It makes me cringe a little bit to think about it. But there was a lot of times that I explained something either wrong or I just made a kind of simplistic guess. And every time I think I'm like, but that's how it was back in this. No one really knew how agility worked. No one knew how air efficiency really worked. We just took a well-rounded guess at the time.
Yeah. It's
Look,
it's
if your
it's
guess is aligned with the truth, even if it ain't the truth, that's good enough.
It's like, we won the battle. What do you want from me? Yeah, it may not have been technically correct, but we won the war. So yeah.
Task failed
as far as that's
successfully.
concerned, mission accomplished. Yeah.
Dear.
Yeah, I'm also really curious to see what this is going to do to mods, because I'm assuming it's a big enough change that it's probably going to break everything.
Oh,
Hopefully,
yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
the bigger mods teams have had a chance to like get their hands on a lot of this early. I know Paradox has done that in the past.
Yeah, last time around, they did get like, almost like a month in advance. So they were all
Yeah.
tight-lipped about it. And it was surprising. I think Kai's right. Within the first week, had an update that reintroduced all the new features in the last big expansion, which I was like, wow,
Right.
okay, they really went for it then.
Like, Old World Blues is one of my favorites, and I can definitely see how this new supply system could better model like the post-apocalyptic world of Fallout, and why it would be really hard to like conquer a huge amount of territory as like some raider wasteland gang. It's like, well, there's no railroads, so I guess good luck getting supply to California if you want to like invade the NCR or something. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out with some of the bigger mods for sure.
Yeah, now you think about it, like, couldn't you? Once again, this might be the limitations of the modding engine here, but couldn't you like not call them railroads? You could pretend they're actual like roads, and then rename them on the map how they actually work. I don't know. I think that would be kind of interesting to see how far the modders would take.
Maybe it's
that,
the
you know?
old highway systems.
Yeah. Or like
they're still not maintained, but they're still smoother than trying to go across the forest.
Yeah, and you could have part of the tech tree is like based on renovating like the interstate highways. That would be really cool. Talker says, how is Equestria War not your favorite? I still haven't played it, even though I've heard it's good. Like, I've never seen.
It's so good. It is so good.
I've never
it's
seen
apparently the best one to play if your computer struggles with Hoi 4.
Interesting. Yeah, I have never seen a single episode of My Little Pony in my entire life.
Same.
I kind of know who the main characters are.
I've seen a couple episodes.
Yeah, I have too.
Back when it first came out, because I was like, "What is this?" My students liked it,
right?
So
yeah, but I've heard the mod is actually really good, even if you don't know the franchise at all. So I do need to try it out at some point.
Yeah, I'm going to vouch for them. I don't know what's going on with the MLP community, okay? But
there's parts of it that scare me.
Potentially. We've all got dark sides. We've all got dark sides.
Yeah.
But oh man, that community is so passionate. And when you play that mod, the attention to detail is next level. And you know the deal too. Everyone makes these like super realism style mods, like Millennium Dawn and Kaiserreich and all them others.
Right.
Kind of dark, but the fact that you're playing one that's kind of like very warm and fluffy and bright, it makes you feel like I'm not playing Hoi anymore. Honestly, it's a mod that you probably turned off by MLP, but the truth is you'll play it and you'll be like, what is this? This is amazing.
Yeah, I'll give it a spin. I've told people I would give it a try, so yeah.
Oh, we do have a request in chat for you, Feedback.
Yep.
Jigs Prime says, when you do finally feel like you understand the new metas, make a video explaining the hows and whys. I just don't want to have to figure it out myself.
Do you know, that's one of my fears. As I said to you before, it's one of my fears, you know. It's like I can make a video and make a well-estimated guess, but then there's a part of me that says, maybe you should just wait a month to make sure you
but you get the views, and then you make another video. It's like, I was wrong. This is actually the thing. And you get the double views.
Yeah. You know, I think that's valid. Like, if nobody has a better answer that first week that it comes out, and you just want to say, hey, we're not sure, we're still figuring it out, we'll update this video when we have more information or whatever.
Yeah.
So the tyranny of the YouTube algorithm will never surrender us. I fear so.
Or even do a question of, are light tanks the new meta?
That's a good title. That's a really good title.
And the answer might be, I don't know, but you know, you can
Are moving castles the new meta? And you build Leanna's favorite tank.
Yeah, I just want to make the stupidest tank possible.
It's basically a moving castle.
Tank destroyers that are like super fast and have maximum firepower but no armor, and just throw them like hornets at the enemy line. It's like all of your armor's blown up now, but these things have no reliability and no armor, so I'm gonna lose like hundreds of them every year. So
or
that's
tanks the new forts.
Yeah.
And you turn you do the very big slow tank that can barely move, and you just park it where you would normally build a fort.
Right. Yeah. New strategy for defending like
Czechoslovakia. You try the Poland encirclement, where the trying to survive, but you also have those tanks that just don't move.
Yeah, there you go.
The Michael Myers of tanks.
Well,
you go.
I was gonna say there's another game with forts that we've all been playing recently. But did you have any final thoughts on?
No, I was gonna say the idea of a moving fort or like a land battleship is probably a lot of people are going to do that because that's definitely one of the things I'm going to do. But one of the upgrades I spotted, this is just a little bit of inside info. One of the modules I spotted is an ability to add entrenchment on to tanks, almost like they've got like a shovel on them so they can dig holes. So not only is this land tank going to be so massive, it's going to dig itself into a hole. So it'll just be a turret, a fixed turret on the land behind the river.
It just has like little feet on it that just burrow down in it like. Yeah, that's amazing.
If that actually worked, I mean, it could be really good for your Maginot line.
Yeah.
For pushing it.
Super Maginot.
Yeah. So awesome.
Yeah.
Another game with forts that we've been playing recently that just came out is Age of Empires 4. I actually reviewed it for IGN. You can go read my review over there. I ended up liking it a fair bit, even though it is very, very old school 90s RTS. To a fault in some cases.
Good. Definitely, I am of the opinion that the fact that they didn't push the boat out and go absolutely mad and try and reinvent it. Who made this? Relic. What was the last game that Relic did that was, midway through a series or at the end of a series of games that were incredibly well loved in the RTS genre? How well did that go? Because that game was Dawn of War 3. And we don't talk about Dawn of War 3.
Dawn of War 3 is like their one big miss to me, because I've liked almost every Relic game that came out. I felt like Dawn of War 1 was great. They went in a completely different direction with Dawn of War 2, and I still really liked it. The multiplayer was but the campaign was really, really good. Company of Heroes, obviously, I really liked. I even really liked some of the things in Company of Heroes 2 that other people didn't like the weather system and stuff.
I thought we were talking about Age of Empires 4.
Right, but it's made by Relic.
Well, it's made by Relic. So yeah, Age of Empires 4. It's Age of Empires.
Yes, and I see Lambert has gotten 44 out of 89 achievements and played 92 hours in the past 2 weeks.
Wow, yeah, that is.
I like the game. What can I say? I'm still not very good at it, but I'm a big fan. Honestly, I haven't achievement hunted at all. It's literally just been through playing. Everything came pretty natural. But yeah, I've played through 3.5 of the 4 campaigns, and I've done a bit of multiplayer, mostly with friends rather than just quick matches, because I just get destroyed. I got destroyed a few times on the quick matches, so
I'm not good enough for a random quick match yet. I'm okay with some factions. Like I've been telling people, like they recommend the English as the starting faction, which I don't think is necessarily because they're the simplest. I think the French are actually the simplest in terms of mechanics. But England is designed in such a way that they're very forgiving. If you forget to build units in the early game, well, your town center is really strong, so you can't really be raided early on. If you forget to build farms, that's fine. They're really cheap, and also they're really efficient. So if you get them up a little late, you're good. So yeah, that's the real reason I think England is the beginner faction, because all of their mechanics are designed around, oh shit, I didn't do X, but it's okay because I have Y.
yeah, that's fair.
I actually haven't done a random map in there yet. All I've done so far is I did the tutorial and the Norman campaign I've been working on. Which
how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm really liking it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say I'm really impressed by the campaign and the fact that it feels like a BBC documentary.
It does, yeah.
I have a feeling that that's like part of the reason why the game is so expensive, because they had to go on location to film all of these places, and then they've paid an artist to put, like, in some cases, thousands of human glowy gold outlines,
diagram
right?
People.
Not one of them is slipping over the land. Not one of them is clipping through the land. That's a massive amount of work.
You know what that is? That's that Microsoft money. Like
it is that Microsoft
money. And it's like, now we're just being showered from Bill Gates, cauldron of gold, and what are we gonna do with that? Well, let's make some like badass documentaries about.
And I mean, I think that's kind of what people are paying for as well. Like that's definitely increased the price. And honestly, I don't know how many hours. It's probably not even an hour of the documentaries if you add them all together, but maybe it is. Either way, like it's a lot, but it's also, it could be more at the same time. Like I want more of them. I want them to be longer. They could have done more, I think.
So feedback, how much Age of Empires 4 have you played?
I've completed the entire Norman campaign, and I played probably, I kid you not, probably like 50 skirmishes and probably about 50 quick matches online 1v1s.
Wow.
And you kicked my ass.
I'm hooked.
I haven't like internalized like muscle memory, like just the basic stuff you're supposed to do at the beginning of a match yet, to the point that I can be competitive, because I played StarCraft 2 competitively for a couple of years. I feel like Age of Empires in general, and especially some of the factions in Age of Empires 4, they just have a lot more things you have to remember to do within the first 30 seconds. Like as the Rus, it's like, okay, I need to get my hunting cabin down, and I also need to make sure I have a wooden fortress by my lumber mills, or I'm not getting efficient lumber collection. And also, I need to be microwing my scouts constantly, because if I'm not hunting all the time, I'm not getting my bounty up, and I'm not going to gather as fast. And it's like, there's just that's on top of the regular economic stuff and aging up and possibly having to like fight off early harassment. So it's a lot to deal with if you go into like the quick match mode.
I had a lot of experience playing like competitive games on Age of Empires 2, so for
Okay, yeah.
me, mastering those early game build orders, I don't know why I get so much enjoyment from it, but it really does make me more immersed and connected to the game when I'm like perfecting every villager movement. I don't know, it's a little bit over the top, but I love it.
I think I'll get
Is
there.
anyone else annoyed by the fact that you can't move around the map with WASD?
You can't.
Yes.
You can. You just have to hold Alt.
I know, but that's annoying.
Yeah, that can be annoying.
And I tried reprogramming the keys and it didn't work.
Yeah, I just hold Alt. I don't. It's yeah. I don't have much trouble with it, but
Look at Lambert there. Look at him, concentration face.
Look, that's the first multiplayer match I did during the technical stress test, and I won that match. I sucked,
nice.
But like the person I fought sucked more.
How many of the factions have you played so far, Rose?
The English.
Okay, so you don't really have a favorite yet.
No, I don't really have a favorite yet. My playing time is kind of limited. And I've had a bunch of other stuff going on this week. So,
fair enough. So. Yeah. What about you, Feedback? Who's like your favorite faction so far?
So England is my main, and the reason for that is there's not really any kind of like unusual play styles you've got to do with them. It is practically an Age of Empires 2 game when you play as England. Now you're right about all the others. The special features of like the Chinese tax collectors or the Rus hunting bounties, they completely change how you play these factions. And I feel like you have to play quite a few games to actually get used to it. So England I played a lot of. Played one game as Rus, one of the Abbasids, one of Delhi, just to get an idea, but never really played them enough to say I'm any good at them, put it that way.
And I know you've played a lot of France when I've played against you, Lambert, but do you feel like you have a favorite at this point?
Rus, actually. I've been playing a lot of Rus lately. I am a big fan of building 7 scouts and going to my enemy's base and stealing his hunt and bringing it back to my base. And especially if I'm playing against Mongols, because they like invent sheep out of thin air. And they often have like 7 carcasses down there. You just go in, it's like, oh yeah, this is mine now. Just thought you should be aware.
Collect the sheep tax, reverse history, What's really funny is when you have Rus versus Rus and you're just skirmishing with your scouts trying to steal each other's sheep.
Yeah.
Like the whole beginning of the war is just like this like Hatfield and McCoy feud between these two hill clans who are trying to steal each other's sheep. It's very funny.
I played Mongols for the first time like a couple of days ago and like really, really enjoyed having a group of like 40 Mangudai and then just clicking on the opposite side of my enemy's base, and they would just ride through, and as they were riding, just shooting down villagers, and I just got 20 kills, and all I did was 1 click. It is, for somebody who is not very good at micro, it's a wet dream. It's amazing. You do so much damage, and you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, the Mongols are definitely my favorite. I'm not very good at them, but just like, the fact that you can just kite people across the map.
Well, what we're seeing right now with Lambert on screen, I like how the buildings are organized by age when you're building your villager and such.
I've seen a lot of people not liking that.
Yeah,
like Havoc didn't like that.
Really.
I feel like, so I mean, in Age of Empires 2, it would literally be like your buildings would be all over and there'd be blank spots that would pop up with new buildings.
Yeah, like it's...
Which I didn't mind, but I like this way much better.
It's an adjustment, but I feel like at the end of the day, I don't mind it.
I think it'd be something that'd be very easy to have in an options menu, which I think is where the game really falls down a peg, is customizability, changing hotkeys, changing the hotkey setup. It's not very good in that regard. And it doesn't affect most players, to be honest. but it is affecting quite heavily the tip top competitive players are complaining quite a bit about hockey mapping and such. It'd be nice for them to have that maybe solved a bit.
Yeah, for sure. I think remappable hotkeys are like essential for any competitive RTS because everybody has a different way that they like to do things. Do any of you have a faction that you're really just not feeling it?
China.
Really interesting.
Not a fan of the tax collector because every 30 seconds that lazy shit has gone idle, giving me a idle villager icon. He's not an idle villager. He's a bloody. He's a scab. He's part of the government. Don't like him. He's a prick. I'm just not in favor of seeing that bloody icon. Let's just go away.
I would also like it if he would not count as an idle worker because I do rely on that pretty heavily, and it's annoying when I can't rely on it playing as the Chinese. I do like China. The faction that I feel like I chive with the least is actually France, just because they don't really have anything interesting economically going on.
Oh, like their traders are amazing.
They're traders, but it's like, I don't know. It's like I could also just trade for gold and buy the resource I need. Like, it's more efficient to do the trade for a specific resource thing.
I think if you have trade available, France is by far the best late game faction. Because,
really,
yeah, the big limiting factor for people in the end game is gold. France has the guild hall where they can just invent gold out of nothing, and they have really good trade. So, especially with their specific units being so gold heavy, with the Arbalestiers and the Royal Knights, are both amazing units. Yeah, I mean, late game, France has got everything you need.
Yeah, the Arbaletiers or however you pronounce it are a really fun unit. That's like my favorite part of that faction.
They're really OP when you mass them as well.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Well, late
if
game,
your opponent is
everyone's
going ranged, you can beat them no matter what. So.
And late game, everyone's got armored stuff. It's like, well, I've got crossbows. What are you going to do? I mean, I think only the Streltsy really beat them for range damage.
I love the Streltsy. Yeah.
But I tell you what, they're not good at
Yeah.
beating elephants. The Delhi, if you allow a Delhi player to get to the late game and have a mass of 20 elephants, GG. They will, like, you have walls, not anymore, the elephants can defeat the walls. You will not be able to mass enough troops to take down the elephants before they destroy your landmarks, wreck your economy. Elephants are broken overpowered.
Yeah, and there's that one. There's a landmark they get that just produces free elephants every 30 seconds or something. Anytime I've gotten that thing out, I pretty much the game's over. I'm gonna win at that point.
It's big GG. Yeah.
The free elephant parade. Feedback. Is there one faction that you haven't really clicked with?
I would say the Chinese as well. There's something. Listen,
Okay.
this is not political or anything, but that guy who just walks around, touches buildings,
it's
and
100% political.
Pulls money out of them. Like, just boils my blood, you know. It just.
Rose and I are the Americans here. We should be the ones complaining about taxes.
Yeah, but we have legitimate reasons to complain about taxes, not your fucking fake invented bullshit reasons.
No. Okay. Well.
You don't want to know how much we have to pay in local taxes just for our house every year.
Self-employment, which doesn't matter what your income is. Actually, if you're self-employed in the U.S., you just pay a flat rate on whatever you make. So yeah, I have never had a tax refund in my life.
Because mine is combined with my husband's, and I worked so little last year and made so little because I stopped teaching. We actually got a tax refund, which was the first time since we moved back to the States. Last time I got one was when working for Publix back in college.
Yeah. If you have like a service job, you'll probably get a refund as long as you have your withholding set up correctly. But look, we did prove that Americans are better at complaining about taxes. Father Loris says, welcome to the Tax Cast. It's a spin-off of Coalcast. Father Loris.
So we should probably think about wrapping up
Yes.
this No CB cast.
We've been going for a while here, but we wanted to get some Age of Empires discussion, and we'll probably be talking more about that because I'm still playing. I'm playing a good, like, maybe not like 1 or 2 matches every day, but like most days of the week I'll go on there and play 1 or 2 skirmishes. So I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I think I'll be playing it for quite a while.
There we
actually.
go.
It'll be
Look at that
great. Play a
magnificent.
quick match, 1v1 against a human being, a random stranger. Humiliate the stranger.
I just want to get a little bit better at like build orders before I head back into that world. But I'm getting there. Like I'm getting better at it. So
Well, apparently there's server maintenance going on today.
yeah. So
Just like the last time we were playing.
Yeah.
but
Yep,
yeah.
the servers are going down in about 2 hours. And they'll be down for 2 hours for multiplayer.
before we get out of here, feedback. Where can people find you, and what kind of content are you putting out right now?
So my main bread and butter is on YouTube, making Hoi 4 edited videos. Some of them are funny, not so funny. You know what? I'll let you guys decide. You can find me at Feedbackgaming on YouTube.
Excellent. Rose, I know you said you've been busy. Have been up to anything interesting in the last week?
Yeah, I did play Age of Empires 4 last Thursday on stream.
Nice.
I did Stardew on Monday. I'm doing Stardew again tonight, and tomorrow there will be more Age of Empires 4.
Did we
because
talk about his new game that he announced last week? I feel like
I think we mentioned Haunted Chocolates here last week.
Yeah.
There we go. Look
Yeah,
at
we
that
mentioned. I'm sure we mentioned it, but yeah, Concerned Ape, who made Stardew Valley, announced his like second game, which is exciting because I love Stardew. Yeah.
Can someone else do the pluggy thing because I need Discord to stay on the faces?
Oh, let me see. If I have a
Sure.
link here. Yeah.
I've got to go to the correct channel.
Lambert, what about yourself? What have you been?
I've been playing a whole lot of Age of Empires lately. Like the majority of the last very many videos on my channel have all been Age of Empires. But I also
Nice.
do things like Victoria 3 dev diary videos and talking about them and making, opinions and predictions and such. And yeah, so that's gone pretty well.
I have a feeling people are going to want to tune into your next one. It's just a feeling
Just
that
a
I
feeling.
got on the air. Yeah. So
What have you been up to, Leanna?
I just finished reviewing Shin Megami Tensei 5. I think that review is going up tomorrow. It's a very complex 80-hour JRPG. So if you're into that kind of thing, you can check that out. If you're not, my Age of Empires 4 review also went up last week, I believe. And yeah, I've in my free time, the main game I've been playing is Age of Empires 4. Like I'll just go in there and I'll do like a skirmish against AI, or or something like that. Or if one of my friends happens to be on, we'll do some multiplayer. So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah.
And you can find No CB Cast in a bunch of places that
You
need to be
can.
updated.
There's a link tree
do.
there, so you'll be able to see them all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that will be back next. It's gonna be an episode. So tune in. And,
There is going to be an episode next week. This is true.
It is going to be an episode with a capital A and a capital E.
And time change happens in America this weekend, so we'll be back lined up with our normal time next week.
If you're
Yeah.
in Europe, it was weird this week, but it should only be weird for this week.
Yeah.
For the Australia, New Zealand people, it's been weird for a while now. And it's actually, I think, going to get weirder because we change in the opposite direction of them. So the show is just going to migrate another hour.
We fall back, so
Yeah.
Right now it's 3:15 Eastern time. It'll be 2:15 at this point next
Hopefully one day we'll just get rid of daylight savings time and we'll not have to worry about this.
100% on board with that idea.
I did not miss it when I lived in Korea at all.
Right. So, yeah.
This
and
is not
we'll-
the first
yeah.
time we've complained about daylight savings on this podcast.
Feedback, thanks for coming on. We'd love to
No
have you
worries.
back sometime, maybe after the expansion's out and we've all had some time to
You've had time to
Yeah,
figure
a
out the new
pleasure.
go
metas.
out with it. Yeah, yeah. We will be quizzing you on what the meta is. We will be expecting you to know.
I hope there is no meta. That's kind of like, yeah, always
There's
better than when there
always
is
a
no meta
meta.
and everything. There are multiple competing, competitive
Yeah.
strategies. That's what you want.
We should have like a dumbest tank contest and see who in the community can make the dumbest tank, and then we'll vote on which one is the dumbest. And,
Yeah, I like that idea.
all right, and we'll see you later.
Bye bye.
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 Okay, go ahead and stop that Audacity recording and export it as a WAV file.